to YouTube, and we are streaming now. And there it goes. We're actually successful. I don't believe it. Yay. And by the way, let's get these out. If someone could take these tickets and pass them out to everybody, keep one for yourself and keep one. And we're live on YouTube. That's awesome. Okay. And there we go. Thank you, Jimmy. AV4KA, Jimmy, one of our public information officers, is passing it, and it is being live streamed, and we're live and we're going. So Gordon, you probably heard my comments that each one we're going to cut as its own video. So that way, and well, you look too comfortable there. I'm jealous. I'm glad and welcome. Yeah, I do. Your schedule's been as hectic as mine. So.
Well, I have family arriving, so I won't be here the whole time. Got to help out the family, but we'll do what we can.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to turn this audio down here. Okay.
Well, I have family arriving, so I won't be here the whole time.
I understand.
Got to help out the family, but we'll do what we can.
There we go. We had to turn down the table mics here down to, well, trying to anyway. Hang on, wait a minute, just see. And let's see here. Nope, that's not it. That's it. Let's try that. And oh, podium. Okay, there it is. Having to learn all this new technology. And in a moment, it will catch up and mute. Maybe. Okay, hopefully it'll catch up here. And no, it still hasn't muted yet. And let's see. Okay. Well, I guess you could still hear me out there in YouTube land, hopefully. And Gordon, could you still hear my audio okay? Okay, so we're good on the stream. Okay, I had to mute this from the podium here. I'm trying to see which one it is here. And I tried several and none of them worked. So let's try table mics and let's see if that does it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it takes about an 8-second delay. I'm seeing if it table mics did it. And okay, and let's see. Okay, we're gonna have to do that. All right. Okay, well, we're going to get started here and a little bit our second track is not active right now. So John has not made it yet up from Port Charlotte. So I guess we'll have to figure out what to do with that later. So why don't we go ahead and do introductions? We'll do a little housekeeping. We'll get right into Gary's presentation. So everybody will go into just give your name, call sign, and where you're from. Okay.
Daryl Frappier, November 3, Juliet, Whiskey Juliet, Apollo Beach.
Jimmy, your turn while you're doing tickets.
I'm Jimmy Russ. Jimmy Russ, AV4KA, Assistant Section Manager from Lakeland.
Beep.
John Lakey, AK4.
All right. Okay, I guess we'll continue going around. Mike, tell us who you are.
My name's Mike Hemphrey, AB0 OOM. You'll probably see that on the license plate of my car parked at the lot. We took a lot of work to get a matching call sign. The plate hasn't given me. I'm a WCF technical specialist. Usually a pain.
I can handle it.
Does that mean it's mine now?
Safety.
Yep. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Sick. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead and come on up this aisle here. And Jim's going to be videoing, and then Mr. Vice Director, tell us who you are.
Jim Schilling, ARL Vice Director for the South. Anyway.
All righty, next.
Timothy Cunningham, EC for Pasco County, all the way from Zephyr Florida.
Call sign.
I'm Steve Romuto, 84 SR from Lake Wales.
Here's the picture.
Jim Garland, KM4UDE, Polk County Aries Resource Manager, and also a member of Lake Edge Reserve Corporation. Lake West.
Jack, K0VAR.
Furthest away.
John Collins, and I'm W1JP.
John Blinko at November 1, Charlie Oscar Charlie, from down in Charlotte County, Inglewood area.
We have never met. I've heard you many times. We've never met. It's good to finally put a face to the call sign.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jim Westsider, KWR, Highlands County.
Our editor for the presser, and hopefully we get the experimenter to come back. Well, this time I'm gonna let Mike make some comments and we're just gonna go from there.
And good morning, everybody. And I'm the big guy, W4MDD, and I think, wait a minute, it says Mike Douglas on here and section manager. Yeah, I took over from this big guy here, so, and he's been done nothing but grief to me ever since, so. I want to welcome everybody here and hope you enjoy the day. And I'm going to let the people that really are running this show take over. Thank you for your time.
All right, I guess a little bit of housekeeping here. Restrooms and the repast that we have, some cookies, some little donuts, a coffee, tea is all in the kitchen. Go through this door here that says exit, and it will be the hallway back. I turn to the left. There is where the kitchen is. You may get coffee or some donuts, cookies there, and the restrooms are right next to it. So the facilities are there.
Out in the barn back there?
Almost, not quite. Go a little further. And of course, this is your main exit here. The main track will be in this room. The secondary track will be in the hallway over to the left or behind this room. As you came in, you saw a hallway down that way. The first room would be if anybody wants to set up anything to demonstrate. The next room, which is in a classroom style, is where the second track will take place. John, being you got here, you want to wait till 10 o'clock, do part of yours, and we give an open slot later in the afternoon. We'll shuffle a little bit. As I had you assigned for the first two slots in the second room. So I suggest we would do that instead. And I think, because it'll give you a break also. And then we'll just basically shift them 1 hour. Well, we'll have yours at 10, then the 11, then we'll have that last slot at 1, then we'll finish with the second track. So we'll go from there. All right, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Gary, K4GHB, who's going to be our first speaker in this slot, with an introduction to FT4 and FT8. And okay, and I'll be doing some other stuff here. The slides are on the section website. You can go there. His presentations for his presentation this afternoon and this morning. I'm going to be loading the others I've just gotten. So those will be on the section website, the same place where you found the Zoom information. So you can take a look there, and those papers will be there. You can download them. And of course, he'll be able to get in here and show you in the slide presentation mode as well.
Okay, set that up for me.
I'll go ahead and set it up for you. Let's go ahead and share screen. And let's go to, here we go. Let's do that. And share. We're going to set that up. And there we are. And you are now screen sharing. And let's see here. I think F5 will do it. Maybe. Okay. All right.
Presentation, that little.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not used to using, there we go. And I think that will work. Oh, it does. I'm impressed.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm K4GHB Gary. First license at the hand when I was in high school, did the novice thing and went off to college, and then kind of got married and had kids and had a family. Didn't get back into having radio till I retired in 2018. And things changed a lot since 1974 and today. So, and one of them was the digital modes, which is a completely different world than we had before. So I need to know my audience first. How many of you guys have tried FT8? Good. How about FT4? How about PSK Reporter? Okay, good. Y'all gonna learn some good things today. let's see, advance the slides. Going to
Yeah, space bar.
space bar. Well, what is digital? It is a communicate. Is it blacked out? Okay, part of this.
Yeah. I think you could take that down, but I haven't done it. Let me work on that. Well, you just go ahead.
Basically, you start with a source that's video or data. It goes to an encoder, and you convert it to a binary stream. And that's going to be ones and zeros, so definite digital. It goes through a channel encoder. It goes through the channel. In a lot of our cases, it's going to be airwaves. It goes to a channel decoder, your receiver, and the binary stream is converted back into voice or data and back to its destination. So that is pretty much, that is what a digital communication system is as far as in concept. Now, let's see, space bar doesn't want to go. Let's see if arrow down.
Let's go to escape. Okay, that's. Don't you love it when stuff don't work like it's supposed to? There we go. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and. All right, let me go ahead. At least that's
Smaller now.
okay. And let me go ahead and go back to F5. Hey, there we go.
Okay, encoding and decoding. So that's a process for FT4 and FT8. We'll get into what the distinction is, but you're converting text to bits. So this goes back to ASCII code. A is going to be a 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. That makes 8 bits. 8 bits to a byte. So it's like Morse code, right? Well, not really, because Morse code uses the absence or presence of a signal. Digital is going to use 2 or more continuous tones to indicate ones and zeros. And if you listen to FT8, you can hear the warbling and so forth. So it's not off and on, as you might think. It's called frequency shift keying. So so your data is made up of ones and zeros. What happens is when it encounters a 1 or a 0, it changes the frequency of the carrier. So the modulated signal is going to look like a shift in frequency when it encounters a change from 1 to a 0. FT4 uses 2 carrier paths, that's 2 to the 2nd power, and FT8 uses 3 carrier paths, 2 to the 3rd power, and that's where the 8 comes from, and the 4. Questions on that? And you can interrupt me anytime. Well, how do you set this up? Well, most modern computers with the USB cable, it's pretty easy. You can just take the USB cable. It's kind of the cable that usually connected to the back of your printer, kind of a squarish looking USB. And you plug that into the back of the radio and that into your computer. And then the computer has drivers. The radio will load the drivers into the computer sometimes. And then you can just go directly to the antenna. If you have an older radio without that, you might need a signal link, something to like it acts as a sound card and a serial cable to do your CAT control, which is computer aided transceiver. And that changes the frequency of your radio. You can tune with it and other things. So with modern radios, it's a very easy setup. Well, what's it good for? Well, it's a great tool for experimenting, and I'll get into that because I went on to FT8 yesterday and I just kind of swept through all the bands and saw who could hear me. And you can study propagation. If you have a change in your setup and you want to see, well, could that station in California hear me differently now that I moved my antenna or I made a change, then you actually get measured data and you can make some conclusions about did I improve or degrade my setup. If you're an HOA, you've got to use stealth or other compromised antennas. It's great because it's a weak signal type of propagation. DXing works very well. I've done over 115 countries on FT8, and my antenna is a wire under about the eave level of my house. It's a tuned in fed wire. Low power is going to work. 30 to 70 watts should be fine. You could probably even go down to 10 if you're in a really quiet area. If you're hearing challenged, you kind of older, we lose our ability to hear. This is going to be all visual, and with the screen you can blow up the letters. So as we get older, this kind of helps with that. And if you don't have a lot to say on the air, or don't want to get into a lot of discussion with people, but you want to make contacts and see how your system's working, it's good for that. Okay, close. I'll stand on this side.
Yeah, well, you can get a little bit, just as long as you're close to the mic of the camera.
Am I blocking the screen where I sit?
No, they can see well above yours, monitors all around.
Okay. So making a lot of contacts is good for that. Special events, digital awards, field day. You can make contacts. I know it's hard to work phone on field day because there's so much traffic, but you can still get through with FT8 and 30-meter band, which is either CW or digital. It's a great band. Time of day, does wonderful propagation. FT8 is good for using that band. What is not good for? Emergency communications. You're not going to get a lot of information with FT8. There is another mode that is a derivative of FT8 called JS8 call. And that is more keyboard to keyboard texting. And that can run at 8, 16, up to 40 words per minute. So that's a better use if you're going to use something time sensitive like that. Same for conversational rag chewing. You need a computer, obviously. So if you don't have a computer, this isn't going to do you much good. And with FT8 and FT4, you have to sync your computer to Greenwich Mean Time within 2 seconds. So usually that's done through a program that you can load on your computer. If you have maybe a Swiss chronometer or something, maybe you can get it, but you got to be within 2 seconds for it to work. Older radios without cat control is going to be a little bit more cumbersome. And if you don't have a single sideband, it's not going to work on 2 meters or 70 centimeters. So the software, WJSTX, it's free. It's all the software you need. Short messages are sent every 15 seconds on FT8. All the messages are heard and decoded and displayed on the user display. When I mean all the messages, you can have 20 people on the band. All 20 people, their messages will be decoded and they'll come down the screen. You can read them all and you can see what's going on. Then if you're looking at them, you see some CQs, you see some, maybe you see a country you haven't worked before or a grid square. You can select that, double click on it, and then the process starts if you have an QSO with them. Automated messaging is going to be your single string, where you're located, acknowledgement to complete the contact, which is the minimum for a QSO. And then an electronic record is made by the software, stored on a .ADI file, and then you can upload those to Logbook of the World or QRZ or some of the other, I don't use the other ones but that much, but you can use other logging websites as well that will upload other people's, compare them, and if you get a match, you get a star of a confirmed contact or a confirmed country work. What license is required depends on your band. Extra advanced, general, and tech are the same on the 70 and 125, 2 meters. For the normal FT8 and FT4, you don't get tech privileges on the bands I've listed from 12 to 160 meters. Advanced and generals can use FT8 and FT4 on all the bands. I found 6 not to be that busy. However, when 10 meters opens up, I've got to Africa, South Africa is pretty common. And then Alaska, that's the only way I've been able to get to Alaska. And my setup is with 10 meters on FT8. So what do you need? Well, an HF radio connected to a PC, can be a Mac, can be a Raspberry Pi. As I said before, the PC clock's got to be synchronized within 2 seconds to UCT. Need a good quality mouse because you're going to be sliding that mouse all over the place. I use a trackball. I'm like, woo, watch it go flying across. You're not going to do a lot of typing, but you're going to do a lot of clicking. Multiple monitors, or a really big one for several different windows. I use 3 monitors typically, and I'll show you why. You need the radio controlling software of WJSTX, logging websites, QRZ and Logbook of the World. Logbook of the World, I use those. And the PSK monitoring website, which I'll give a demonstration of that, requiring the internet. So I'm going to need to use, can I use a browser on this, or do I need to?
Yes, you should be able to. Matter of fact, you're in desktop.
Well, I'll do it later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And of course, you need the antenna and power supply you can normally have with any radio. So what I like to do, I like to set up my 3 monitors. I've got the largest monitor is going to do the WJSTX main display with all the messages coming on that, and the radio controls are there. And my smaller display is going to be the Waterfall. A Waterfall is kind of a time display. As the signals come down, they change colors as far as intensity, and as you go across horizontally, that's different frequencies. So the wider the signal, and if it's overflowing into other, if it's too wide, then you'll see that being a wider amount of color on the screen. Black is the really quiet areas. Red is the very loud or high power activity that you can see on your screen. Then I like to have another browser running 2 tabs, one with QRZ, because of all the things, information it has about contacts that you're making, and the PSK reporting software, which is something that the WJSTX software does through the internet. So it actually reports the all of the stations you can hear into a database, and every station that wants to look at it can see, oh, who can hear me, which is extremely powerful and mind-blowing, especially when you look at the number of data points it's collecting on a regular basis. It also tells you what kind of antenna they're using if they put that information in the screen, which can help you analyze your system. So that seems like a lot to process. So what's going on? 25 people are talking at once. I have problems with 2 people talking at once. Stations are going to step on each other by mistake because of timing. 2 people transmit at the same time, just like when we double when we're trying to, check into a repeater. Or they just don't see them. They're coming from 2 different parts of the world and they don't know they're stepping on somebody else. Pileups are going to happen when you get that rare country that comes on. And once you get some experience and you look at call signs, you know which call signs are common and which ones are rare. And when it's rare, then you see several people trying to contact them at the same time. And of course, we can use color coding to avoid working the same station twice. Color coding allows you to customize your WJST setup, so you can say, well, let me see if it's a continent I haven't worked before, or is it a country I've never worked before, or is it a grid scare where I've never worked before, or is it a specific call sign I've never worked before. So all these things can be customized to help you use your time most effectively and not waste time of other people that you've already talked to before. Of course, you want to use your power sparingly, and you want to be, polite and respectful of others. That's all part of ham radio. So right now, my goals are to find countries or grid squares that are new to me. I'm looking for unusual call signs, rare DX contracts, and if anybody wants to DX to North America, and they're from another country like Italy or France or somewhere, then I'll respond. So how do you do that? Well, let's assume everything's connected and working fine. Well, the first thing you'll do is you look at the waterfall to see where it's quiet. You're looking for an open frequency and set your radio ready to transmit on it. Then you look at your messages. And then again, you look at the colors. So, change your color. So if you want a country you've never worked before to be hot pink, you can do that. Or if you want it black with white letters, you can do that. So that's going to give you some visual clues on how you want to respond, because you don't have a lot of time. You have like 2 seconds to respond. So if someone sends a message out, if you don't click on their CQ within 2 seconds, it's not going to get in the pile. It's not going to be in the batch. You're going to have to wait for another 15 seconds and you can get kind of out of sequence. 5 messages are going to follow automatically if all goes well. You want to watch the process. If sometime during the process somebody gets stepped on and the other person doesn't hear that item in the sequence, you may have to restart it or repeat a message to keep the sequence going. And if someone, you're answering a CQ and you see, oh, all of a sudden they respond to someone else, you can just stop your process because you don't want to be throwing these 2 more messages at them or keep on, say, hey, I want to talk to you while they're in a short conversation with somebody else. So you wait until they go to their last message, which is going to be a 73, and then you can click your buttons and hopefully get in the next cycle. If it's successful, a box will come up. You say, okay, it goes into your .ADI file, and then you can upload that to Log of the World or QRZ. So what are these 6 messages? Well, first there's the CQ and the person's call sign. This is Mike 6 PSK. He's in JO01. So he's going to do a CQ call. And the next 15-minute cycle, we've got a response, GOQQQ, located in IO81, somewhere in England. He responds that, hey, I'd like to talk to you. And then the original caller says, hey, GOQQQ, I've got you at -12 dB. So that's signal report. Then he comes back and says, I've got you at 8. Then the original person calling QC says, report received 73. And then the station calling, answering the CQ says, best regards. So that took 1 minute and 15 seconds, or I could say 1 minute and 30 seconds, those 6 messages will be done. So it's pretty fast. Now FT4 is 2.5 times faster. So the same sequence is happening, but you can see the change in time. First one's coming in 6 seconds, 12 seconds, 18 seconds, 24, 30, add another 6 seconds. So now it's 36 seconds that's taking place. So it's faster. It's a lot of information to process. And not as many people use FT4, which is a good thing. It takes a little bit wider bandwidth. But you can make a lot of contacts in a hurry. So the savvy ones know that. Also, they know that when FT8 gets so crowded, there's no room to go to FT4. And then you'll find the ones, the people in there that don't want to fight the busy traffic. So FT8 on 20 meters, busy all time during the day. I've never seen it quiet on 20 meters. FT4 is not as busy, but they might give you to opening to a far station. And what's happening on FT8, there's so many people on it on 20 meters that all you can hear are people that are pretty close to you. You can't hear the far station because all you can hear are people that are closer. When I'm saying closer, I'm talking about 2,000 miles. So if you're trying to get 10,000 miles, it's really hard to get that far out. But on FT4 being less crowded, you might be able to. FT4, I've really only used it on 20, 17 occasionally. FTA is fairly busy on 12, 15, 17, and 30, and I've got to admit lately, the propagations have changed. 12 and 15 are very busy now. 17 and 30, and 30 later in the day, of course. FT4 was not an option in the old version of WJSTX. So if you have an old version and you haven't upgraded it, you don't actually have a choice to use FT4. I was looking for it one day going, I thought, oh, here. I had to load up the new version, and it wasn't an automatic upgrade. So let's talk about the waterfall. As I said before, time on the vertical axis is things moving down the page slowly. And the red bracket is going to be where you're transmitting on. So I'm on here, I'm at like 2475, I think. And I'm also listening there because that's the green frequency. Usually not the same. Usually you're going to operate split. The other station is going to operate where they think it's clear. You're going to operate where you think it's clear. And there is an exception to this. I will walk transmit on the same frequency when it is jam-packed full. And the only thing I know is that if he thinks that frequency is clear on his side, I'm going to believe him and I'm going to transmit on the same frequency. And that's been sometimes the only way I've been able to work a station when it's that crowded. So the green and the red brackets are key. And you move those by the mouse. So your main window looks like this. Pretty busy day. What's going on here? All these colors. There's a few things I like to point out. One is this guy right here, he's putting out a heck of a lot of power. And he might not know it. And it's what I see. It might be what he's trying to do. This guy right here, you can see him kind of bleeding over. Sometimes you'll see these signals actually go out there 3 or 4 times wider than they should be. I'm hoping those are just people that are trying to work that one station and it didn't work for them to use lower power and they just increased their power. But I would hate to think somebody just cranked up 100 watts or more on FT8 and just said, to heck with it. I'm more important than everybody else. I'm just going to throw my signal out there. This green on the bottom is another indicator of where the quiet zones are. So sometimes it's easier to come down here and say, oh, look down here, that's kind of a lower range here around where I've actually got my transmitting bracket at. That's one of the quietest parts on the band. So it does some sort of averaging to give you an idea of where you should be transmitting. Any questions on this? Again, interrupt me if I'm going too fast. Have it your way, like Burger King. If you want that your calls, your messages to come in red with the yellow, anybody calling me, I want to see it in red with yellow letters. That's what I set up. It's like, woo, emergency, right? A new country is going to look at it'd be fuchsia for me. A new grid is navy for me. And you can change this as you like. And as you go to, when you start out, probably new continent might be where you start. And once you've worked all the continents, and Antarctica does not count as one, then you'll say, okay, I don't need to know about new continent anymore. Now, the reason you want to do this is it's layered, because as long as it says Asia, it'll never say China. You want to unclick continent, click country, and then that CQ will say China. All right, or USA or whatever. And then if you've worked USA, you want to unclick country and then say grid. And then you can, or state, trying to work all state with that. So you set up your own hierarchy. So this is the main screen. And okay, you guys can read it. So you can see right off the bat, DN97 and DN18, I haven't worked those at this time. This guy on the bottom, DN18, he's calling DX. Is DX for me in EL? I don't know. I've been wrestling with that. I'd probably go with the first guy. Now, over here is conversations I was having. So you can see people, the red are people calling me. The yellow is messages I've sent them. So let's see, take this guy from France, F4FOM. I responded to him. He must have not come back, because next one I'm going to CQWBOING. Then I call him, and then now he's talking to somebody else. So I have to wait a while. And then, I send a CQ out. Let's see, and then this guy in Iceland, he's called, I sent it out, and then NA2F response. Where's NA2F? So he calls me. So it's a bit of a, this was a little bit of a crazy one. I'll go to the next one. It makes more sense. You can see USA, Ecuador, Guadalupe, CQNY1E. Let's see what happened. And then someone responded to him. And while you're on this screen, it's actually anybody transmitting to the person. Oh, it's the person that you have responded to with your CQ. Their traffic is going to come here on this side. So finally I got NY1E with, he was at -11, I was at 5. He sent again saying, so I sent again, now he's at 0. Then he sends, I got you, or report received, and I said 73. So in this case, the sequence, I had to repeat the power transmission information twice or once to get it to him. You get the hang of it. After that 73 comes up, a box appears on the WJST software and says, hey, you got a QSO, do you want to record it? And you can fill in some squares if you want to, but you really don't have to. You can just hit OK. And that goes to your AID file, as I said before. Well, people say, well, that was pretty impersonal. You don't know anything about the guy. You don't, never really, you didn't really make that contact with him. It was just, on the screen. And that's somewhat true unless you want to look him up on QRZ. And then you can find out a little bit about him, probably more than you would ever find out about him by talking to him over the air. And it's funny what people put on QRZ, depending on what country you're in. People put their motorcycles on here, their sports car, their livestock, where their house is, the mountains around them. It's kind of interesting. It's like Facebook for ham radio. Okay, the PSK reporter. So this is people that could hear me one day. All these yellow tags come up, and the yellow signifies 20 meters. So this is only the 20 meters. But that's the thing about FT8, though, with a little wire at the height of your eaves, you're contacting South Africa, Australia, South America, all kinds of Europe. And of course, depending on the day, it's amazing how much you can get out there. So I'm going to go to this website in a second, and we'll do a little bit more with it. When you do click on someone, you can see information about them. This particular user, you can see he's using a fan dipole 15, 20, 15 at 28 feet in the air, and an 80-meter hamstick dipole at 38 feet. So if you're trying to analyze your station, like what kind of antenna and where are they and how much power? Well, he read me at -20 dB. And that's a fairly low signal. A minimum is about 22 with this code. So he's just barely reading you. This also can give you an indication if you're working a station and you're wondering, have I got enough power? Can he hear me? Or how much power, should I be at? And you see that in the last 7 minutes, somebody heard you and they were at -10 dB. That's plenty of power. They just don't want to talk to you. So or they've got somebody else they want to talk to. So there's no reason to pump up your power because they can hear you. They know, you're there. So where is this? You need the WJSTX_log.ADI file. That's the one you want to upload. And you can get that by going to the menu and saying, show me the directory for WJSTX. This is a hidden file, though, and I learned this the hard way. Once you discover how to unhide your files and unhide your folders, then you can use the QRZ to go directly, upload this file directly, and it's a lot simpler than what I was doing, which was kind of a batch mode. So this is when you're in QRZ and say, hey, I'm in my logbook, you go to settings, upload your ADI file. It says, well, where is it? You choose file, you choose WJSTX_log.ADI, and you import it. And up it goes. You also have the capability of using logbook of the world. This is an ARRL service. You can upload and download your contacts. The nice thing about doing this is if you lose your contact file, and I was just on Facebook this morning and somebody was talking about how they lost their contact file. And I was about to respond and said, you mean you didn't upload it to QRZ or Logbook of the World? But I had a conference to go to, so I didn't get into it. But uploading your file is a pretty good idea because you can download it if you lose it. So it's in the cloud, so to speak. The other thing about Logbook of the World is not everybody uses QRZ. So, and then you can go back and forth and you can use QRZ to update Logbook of the World. And that's for an annual fee of $30-something. I do it because it's for ease of use. So, sir.
Do you reset the ADI file so you're not constantly uploading duplicates? Is there a way to do that?
The QRZ will look at your AID file and it'll say, you've only got 8 new ones. And you actually have the option of saying, just do the new ones or do the whole thing. I've got over 1,000. So it'll look and say, hey, you've only got 8 new ones. Is that what you want? I'll say, yeah, just the 8 new ones. So you can do it either way, Steve. I continue to work on this. Icon makes these nice maps. I just use a PDF file and put a dot in when I worked a grid square. And slow by slow, you can fill it in. So you can, after you've worked so many countries, then you start working grid squares. Some things I wish I knew when I started FT8. The radio drivers for the mic and speakers, the codecs settings should not be your default sound drivers. You want your default sound drivers to be your mic and your speaker. You want your codec to be the ones FT8 uses. So you might think that like if you're in your setup and you're going, oh, okay, I'm trying to do this thing with the codec, make them default. No, don't do that. But you do set them in the software as your the drivers you want to use. Have your radio on and connected to your PC before you start WJSTX, because not having the codec drivers there is going to mess up your settings. WJSTX and says, hey, if you just turn it on and there's no radio, it'll say, hey, you don't got a radio, and it'll reset your drivers back to the original state. If you have a power failure while you're transmitting or using FT8 and everything goes blank, the same thing's going to happen. You're going to have to go back in and set your codecs as your interface drivers. The 60-meter band is not programmed into WJSTX. You have to do that manually. There are instructions if you Google that, how to do it. And then people do use FT8 on the 60-meter band. As I said before, WJSTX is in a hidden folder. Once you hide it, you can upload it much easier. What I would do, I would upload it for the day. I would take it out of WJSTX, put it on my desktop, load it up. I start WJTX. Next time it would be empty. So I would be loading up a little bit at a time. What that did, though, it disabled my ability to look and see if I worked a station before. Once you figure out that you want to leave that there, let it just sit and stay there, then you can use it to more effectively to manage your time. PSK Reporter, I found that months after working FT8. That blew my mind when I saw what it could do. And that would be nice to know at the start. Minus 22 dB to minus 24 dB is about the lowest level they can detect. The gray line effect on propagation cannot be overstated. Here in Florida, 6 o'clock at night, we're going right over Alaska, right down into Japan. That's when you're going to get Perth, Australia. That's when you're going to get those. And it's amazing how it happens. There is an art to it. You need a little bit of crystal ball. You need to think that everybody on the band is trying to find a place to operate. They're doing the same thing you are. You almost have to have reverse psychology. You got to think, oh, there's a wide open spot over there. I'll go there. No, because there's about 10 people that see the same thing. You may want to actually see a guy just finishing his and go right after him instead of trying to find the open spot because everybody else is there as well. It's highly addictive. You get on this thing, you think you're going to do, well, I'll do work all states, and you find you make 15 states in the first hour. Instant gratification. That's what, young people are all geared to, right? All of a sudden, you're making all these contacts. Wow, 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 wow. It gets harder. I mean, when you start work that 50th state, it's a little bit difficult, but It's very rewarding. I never knew I would learn so much about geography and the countries. You'd hear the name of an island, you think, oh, that's in the Pacific, right? No, it's off Africa. Or no, it's in the Mediterranean. No, all of a sudden you learn all these places you never knew existed before. And QRZ is a very useful website. And one of the things I like about it is it's Atlas. So if you're in QRZ, you hear of a country, this Moderna island or some place you've never heard of before, you type it in, boom, it brings up a map, you blow it up, you say, oh, I see where it is. It's off Africa, or it's, off of Asia. Logbook of the World is a little convoluted. You have to kind of get a certificate and you go through a lot of steps to get registered to it, but it's worth it because I would say maybe 70% of my confirmed QSOs are coming through QRZ. The other 30% are coming through Logbook of the World. So you're going to miss a lot if you don't use Logbook of the World. So FT8, FT4, not what we grew up with, but they are a segment of an ever broadening highway. It can be a tool, even if you never really, if you thought that's not for me because I like to talk to people, it's still a great analytical tool to find out, if I modify my station, did I make it better or worse? Is it impersonal? I would say to the operator, yeah, it is. It's just a random person you're talking to. Experience might change that. After a while, you get to know people. That sounds a little bit crazy, but you recognize the call signs, you see what they're doing, you see how they behave, you see who are nice and who are not so nice. And because I suppose it's all us retired people get on at the same time of day. It's part of our habit, our routine, and there's actually, it's almost like a net where you see people you've seen before. Requires some hardware investment, but you don't have to buy anything. WJTX is all you need. So in 3 years I've done, it's probably, this is update. I got all the states, 115 companies now, well over 1,000 QSOs. It's a tuned in fed wire, 12 feet in the air. There's not much, it's all I can do. Okay, so how do we get to a browser, Daryl?
Okay, now you're gonna go out of presentation mode now. Okay,
Sure.
when answering, I'll get that up for
What do
you.
you mean by a tuned in field?
It's a Icon 7300, and it's got a coax cable going outside to the AH4 antenna tuner. It has a wire that comes out, and of course I got
Your browser's up.
The H4 is automatic.
it is automatic. Yeah, you can press a button and it tunes. Let's see. So we'll go to PSK Reporter. I'll put my call sign in. Let's go band by band. See if this thing's really working the way it should. Okay, so I was on 10 meters yesterday. It was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And these are all the stations that could hear me at that time. And all you have to do is just hover over one and you can get the information. So let's see what was happening here in Maine. So here we got a guy at FT8, he's heard me at 10 meters. I'm not saying this is signal strength. Well, anyway, so those were the states. Now these people didn't respond to me, but you could see who could. Signals center received by, let's see. Okay, received by FT8, 12 hours. Yep. So 10 meters, not bad. 12 meters.
Our apologies to the Zoom stream. It doesn't, I didn't switch screens on it to the browser. I haven't had to do that before.
So they can't see it
They
now?
can't see it. We'll try to switch to it here in a moment,
Okay,
if we can. And then, of course, I can't see it on mine over here either because I gotta set myself up as a co-host, then I can do it.
I'm not sure why this is doing, but it's not showing the power that they heard me at. Usually it does.
Is that a custom setting perhaps?
And that is a thought. That is a thought. You have a lot of display options with this.
Okay.
And hold on,
Yeah.
it's at this point.
And then I gotta bring the controls back up to be able to get to it. I didn't set myself as a co-host.
Oh, it's on the website. You set the options.
Oh, gotcha.
It could be that there's something in the settings. Because
Look in the chat feature. The link to this website's in the chat.
here we go. Okay, so you can hide your faint monitors. Show signal noise ratio. Okay, let's see if that did it. Let's see, does that, do I have to hit something to make that happen? Let's see if I just go. Click on. Let's see, okay, let me close that. Let me try another band here. Let's go 15 meters.
When you're finished, we'll show them the screenshots. Just again for the stream real quick.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing the signal noise ratio, but it will if you get it set up.
Yeah,
right.
probably is not set.
Yeah, you need to be more than 12 hours out.
I am within 12 hours. Well, let's see. So 12 hours, maybe it's, well, you can go to 24. This looks more like it. There we go. So that station there got me a +8. It also shows your skip. You can also see, what did that guy hear? So if you want to see what some other station could hear. So he didn't get back to me. Why not? Well, who was he listening to? Well, you can actually query that. Now, this is what blows my mind down here. Is see how many records he's got here? That's 25 billion with a B records in 24 hours. And you can see it incrementing, you know, like 1,000 every couple of seconds. Just an incredible website. Now it takes a while. Now these are the stations that elected to report with PSK Reporter. You can also get an idea of just how propagation is. So let's see how propagation is right now for anyone. And I'm going to go for the last 15 minutes. So where's everybody? And let's see, am I on all modes? Let's go with FT8 right now. Hello, FT8. All modes, all bands, go. You can see 20 is pretty busy. The yellow is 20. You can see there's a lot of 10-meter traffic coming out of South America up to Europe. You can see all the blue over here. That's going to be your 40 meters. You can see how many people are on each frequency, like how many reporters. So we got 1,100 reporting on 20 meters, 11 on 15, and 1,000 on 40. So you see it's kind of equally split. So it gives an idea where you want to spend your time. And you can see, well, you know, what's working right now. So this is all, it's empirical data. It's actually what's going on. And you can, you know, tailor your
Let me
operating
see if I can
based
get
on
that
that.
where they can see it on the stream. It didn't switch properly. And so go to questions.
Yeah, that's all the presentation I have. How'd I do?
And
Okay,
we're
10 o'clock.
right at times, basically.
All right, yes, sir.
Earlier in the month, Dallas was going to be the first all digital contest, June 4th and 5th. And of course, the power they're limiting is up to 100 watts
Okay.
on that contest. So kind of from your experience, I see it's pretty deep here. What do you think that contest is going to look like?
Well, is it just FT8? I'm trying to remember. Is it FT4 also?
Yes.
Okay, so I think FT is going to be pretty busy, but I'll tell you right now, FT8 is very busy. It just is. There's a lot of activity going on there. I don't know if it can be much busier. FT4 is where I see the overflow. And you could have like 25 people on FT8 and then just go change the mode to FT4 and there'll be 4. So I bet what will happen is people are going to go to FT4 and they're going to beat the people on FT8. And the other reason is the speed, because you saw 36 seconds on FT4 versus a minute and a half on FT8. So I think your hot dog contesters, they're going to know that. And again, if they haven't downloaded the most recent version of the software, they're not going to know FT4 can work with that. The other thing might be the 60-meter band, because you have to program it yourself. Your savvy FT8 operators are going to have that programmed, and they're going to have another avenue than the others. That's all. But field day, I mean, you can see it. It is busy on when there's activity like that, and we might see a lot more activity on the 6-meter band too. It's very rare to hear them, but I'll get PSK reporter coming back to me on 6 meters out of Jacksonville, Panama City, within the state, Fort Lauderdale. That help? Yeah, good. Any other questions? Who might try this after seeing this? Will this help?
Definitely me.
You might try it? Yeah.
Probably in the summer.
It's a lot of fun. I like it. It's almost like a video game. It's all colorful. It takes a lot of quick reactions. You have to watch what's going on. You can take and stop, take a break, and just watch what's happening. But after you get
There
to
he is.
where you can read the bands,
Now I
then
got
it
my
becomes
control
somewhat
back.
second nature. Hope you get it a shot. I'll be giving a presentation later on fiber optics. I have some samples of fiber optic cable that you probably won't be able to see because it's the last presentation. But if you want to come by, then I can show you some of the samples before that part of the program. And that's it for me, Daryl.